Hello there. Sorry, today a bit on the late side for me. Yeah. So, hello guys to the third day of this week or the last week. Hope you're all doing well. Let's see. Hello, hello. So many people. Let's see what the YouTube stream is doing. Right, excellent connection. Hello, hello. All right, we can start already. Good sound. Good. So today we'll be talking about again stuff related to working in real life, like stuff that are not technical. So stuff that's not technical. That's what this whole week is about mostly, and we'll see if we will have time at the end to do some. Like the slot is called co-working, which would be like if the course would have been in person, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll do uh, that release on the App Store because the my dev account was approved. So yeah, it took 2 days, and I can basically continue. But yeah, we'll talk about that. Good. Coming to an existing project. So it's different whether you start the project yourself or in a team or in a company or whatever. Then like that's very different than coming to an existing project. So if like an existing project could be some other guy's project or a big project in a company or a small project on like a client's small project or a client's big project, like if you're a freelancer. uh, then there are so many combinations. I don't think I can cover them all, but in general, you will have to learn all of the things that I taught in this course so far, and just once you know them, then you know how uh yeah, then you know how to break them, and in what order, and what which of them are better to be broken at some point, like because in real life, like you have to ship fast and all of that stuff, and you basically have to see what trade-offs to make. But yeah, usually when you come to an existing project, there's a lot of things that you need to adapt to, like conventions, and how to write the code, and how to test the code and what are the processes for like going from a task that's from in the to do column to the like shipped column, or yeah, done or shipped, depending on what's your final state for a task. Yeah, and this is my like exaggerated, cynical way of visually describing how it feels coming to an existing project. And this is the meme. Actually, it was the text was "Welcome to the project" or "Welcome to the company," something like that. It's just an exaggeration. Don't overthink it. Yeah, if you are unlucky, or if you're at the beginning of your career and you're not like from a top university or something like that, or you don't have references, or you don't have someone who can sneak you in into a company that does things the right way, and even then, at least half of the time you still get into like bad conventions, bad code, and so on and so forth. Um, yeah, and sometimes we refer to it as spaghetti code because they a lot of things are depend on a lot of other things, and they are not. They are basically breaking some of the coding patterns or code smells and best practices that I talked about the last week, right? So I kind of covered maybe probably like at least 90% of them. So if you get really good at just understanding them, then you'll just immediately see it. And that happens for two reasons. Like, just the first one is because sometimes it's just cheaper to hire someone that's a junior or a beginner who can do a thing in a week than hire someone that's an expert who can do that feature or whatever in a day. So that's basically the truth, and that's how it works. I'm just describing how it is and not how I would like it to be, right? Um, and that's why usually you have bad code. Um, yeah, and the other reason is just that most of the time, from a business perspective, they just see it as a clear ROI thing. Like, okay, how much effort have we put into this? Like, you can even like say man hours if you want, but it's not that simple because someone's hour is not the same as someone else's hour. But let's say just like man hours. How many man hours would the feature take, and what we get in return? And most of the time, probably like 80% of the time, you have to make trade-offs, like write a code that just works and write comments if you're too lazy to get creative with function names and variable names to tell a story there, like to write your explanations as code instead of as comments. And yeah, that's, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like 30% of this session is just me talking about the like shipping it perfect but never, or shipping it decent and next week. That's usually, yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, in the first week you might feel like 20% imposter syndrome and 80% confusion. It really depends. Like, I'm mostly talking to uh, beginners, people who are just getting started, and just it's normal. Yeah, try to not break anything, but you might break stuff. So ideally, I mean, it's their job to sandbox you, like put you in a sandbox metaphorically, where you can break stuff without um, worrying them too much. But yeah, there's an art there, like between exploring the code and like trying to not break something. Um, Most of the time, like 95% of the time, there won't be any issue there. Um, and like you might see that the current slides might be a bit pessimistic in or cynical in today's session, but it's one of those things that it doesn't really help learning about what to do in the positive uh, in the positive situation where everything is fine, right? It's kind of counterproductive to talk about how will you celebrate when things are going fine. So that's why we're talking about only about the things, only about the situations where there's something to learn from, and where you need to know some things beforehand, right? So you are kind of preparing for some of the negative things, like you try to maybe be proactive about them and stuff like that. So and that's basically why you might feel that today's slides might be a bit pessimistic, but it's just it's not that the bad stuff happens more than the positive stuff, or it happens but not like 8 times um more often than the positive stuff. But these are the things that will be useful to just explore and talk about. um yeah. What's the dev team working on? There's no dev team. Yeah. There's a command that's called git blame, and it kind of does what it says. um but in general, what it does is it allows you to see who last time changed a line of code. And if you were here since the beginning, I said that I'm not an expert git command line user, so I'm using just smart git. And like there's this lazy uh you know this lazy way of doing stuff, like going here maybe, and I don't know, log, and or I don't really remember how it worked. I think, oh yeah, so you have like your log here, and let's say I want to see, man, who changed this thing, like this thing, we don't need this thing or something like that, right? And you can do like git blame, and that's a command line, like you can do like in the command line, like git blame whatever, blah blah. And as I said, I really recommend you to use a GUI, just a visual tool for it. I mean, there's no reason, in my opinion, to not use a GUI, and yeah, just do it. And that's a strong opinion. So yeah. And you see, like 9 days ago, this guy changed it in this commit, and then you see there's the next commit, in the sense that next in the like it's chronologically, but in reverse order. So the most recent one is at the top. Added Firebase, whatever, you see this thing. So here you basically see commits for this file, like not only that line of code, because it's not that straightforward to see that, but because that line of code doesn't change with each commit, but you will see them here. You see in this commit this thing changed, then these things were added. So it's in reverse chronological order again, right? So you see this thing. So I just wanted to see, okay, who changed this line of code? And I mean, it was just me in this project, but if you have the multiple people, you might have like, okay, this line of code was changed by another guy 82 days ago, then by another guy, this other client, and so on and so forth, right? And it's a nice thing to know about. You might even do, can you do it on the commits? No, you usually do it on files. So you see this thing, I don't know, come on, something, this thing, git blame, And I want to see, okay, who changed this? Okay, so this guy changed this thing here when he did this, right? And just know about it. And it's a thing that I'm rarely using. And when I'm using it, I'm constantly trying to relearn it because it's so rare, right? But when I'm using it, it's very useful, especially in a project where there are more people. I mean, it's called blame, so you blame people for breaking stuff, right? But it's I mean, it can be used like in general for just knowing who did something, and then you might ask them, hey, why did you do that? Did you do that? Or can you help me do that in this other place? Because it seems like you did it the right way and it doesn't work for me. So I need your help here, so on and so forth. Yeah, find out who to bug with questions. Like I said in this last example, where you want to ask someone why they did that, and or how they did that, and to help you in your own feature, where you're on the feature that you're working. And this second point is more for people that are intermediate to advanced, unless like you were specifically tasked with it. You would generally need to resist the urge to rewrite everything and just try to understand it first, or understand at least the module that you think you will be working on, and yeah, later improve it. And it really depends, why are you there? Like, are you there specifically to improve the project, or are you there just to implement features, or nobody knows why you're there? And that happens a lot as well. You're just there because you wanted to just work on something, and then that happens. And that like reminds me of the beginning of my career. uh, yeah. Where is documentation? Team lead, I am the documentation. This happens a lot as well. Like, there's no documentation, and there's a guy who knows everything, and nobody fires him or her. And you have to basically be nice to that guy or that girl to tell you stuff. Yeah. And sometimes they're annoyed by you, and they're saying like, talk to you after lunch or something like that. And you don't have anything to do, and that's fine. Like, um there's this thing, like, people just have that urge to always work on something, and I salute that. Like, it's good to want that, and I want that as well. But if there's nothing else to do, just don't feel guilty of it. Just I mean, I don't know. By default have this thing like, okay, if I don't have anything to do, I will just go on YouTube and try to learn something that's kind of tangential to the project or to the company, or to the skills that I will need for working on this thing, but also stuff that I'm interested in anyway. So it's kind of an ambiguous thing, like you're learning something that you wanted to learn anyway, right? But you also can reframe it into, hey guys, I'm watching this thing, and I will be able to do my job better, or something like that. And there's always stuff to learn, right? So I mean, I like learning stuff, so I don't know about people in general, but I like learning stuff a lot, and it's quite easy for me if I don't have anything to do. Um, but usually you can just browse the code and look at it and see what's the structure. And now with Claude and ChatGPT and all of those things, and Copilot, I think it depends on your company's privacy policy, because most of them don't want to share the code. Maybe they have a local model, or maybe they will have by the time you're watching this recording. Maybe like you're in 2025 or 2026 something. So hello from the ancient time of 2024, since everything will evolve so fast. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, especially with all of these tools, you'll be able to see the whole project code base and just ask questions based on it. Like, wow, like draw me a diagram with a very high level of how this thing works, right? I mean, as a junior, you won't really need that probably, but depends on how curious you are. So there's always something to do, and even if you, for example, I don't know, you don't want to stay at your PC, just I don't know, go and talk to people like, hi, I'm whatever, I'm here, I'm doing that, I waiting for my team lead to have the time to talk with me, yeah, through the documentation and all of that. What are you working on? How is it here? Like, how's the food? If there's any food, yeah, stuff like that. I mean, just I'm getting into like soft skills coaching. Also, I'm not like an expert, but I worked really hard to come to a place where I might call myself like decent, not good, but decent with soft skills. Um, yeah, if there's any documentation, uh, first ask. Uh, depending on your how big is your team. Just ask. Let's say there's two guys. One is, let's say, they call themselves maybe a senior developer that was there in the company for 4 years, let's say, and there's like an architect, let's say, for the project, and they were there like for 7 years, or I don't know, or 3 years even. They still know more than you. Just to ask them like, man, what would be maybe for the next 3 hours, what would be the best three places that I should look on and get a grasp on the project and on your processes and how do we work and all of that stuff. Ideally, this is given to you and you're babysitted at the beginning. But in my experience, it's just 50-50. It really depends on the project, and it doesn't even depend on how well paid it is. Like it's really just random. Like, yeah, some companies care more about onboarding, others just make you an implicit compliment by not babysitting you and basically saying without saying that you're smart enough to figure out it yourself. So yeah, look at this view, all of this code, we've came so far, and the new feature comes and destroys everything. So yeah, you should ignore noise in the sense that we've talked about the feature creep. I don't know it was like, if it was under the code smells section or not in the previous weeks. But it's just about focus, and this means different things for different people, but in general means just doing what's on the. I mean, if you're just a developer, hopefully somebody else prioritizes your tasks, or you at least help with prioritizing them. But there's somebody who decides what tasks should be done, and um, yeah. But if not, then you will have to do that. Depends on how big the company is, or the project, or whatever. Um, ignoring noise is just that, like there's nothing complicated to talk about here. It's just trying to complete the task without doing the shiny things that feel good. um yeah, it's a bit harder than it sounds, for some people at least, me included. So, or at least it was like I worked really hard in overcoming that. But um yeah, so you have a set of tasks and just do what the task description says and nothing else. Um, Usually, if you have good management, uh, your supervisors should be angry if you're doing anything in addition to that. Even if it's useful and it looks good, you can write a task for it, or you can write it in a document somewhere and bring it up in your meetings, like depending on if you're doing agile or like meeting each day, or yeah, have this like daily, weekly, bi-weekly updates where you have like feedback, which is called retro in in Scrum, and yeah, just bring them there. So whenever you want to create something, in addition to the tasks that you were assigned, just write it somewhere. Or I mean, depends. Like you can even ask if you should do that, right? And maybe they will say like, okay, yeah, just do it as part of this task right now. Yeah, it's just communication, right? Yeah, prioritize ruthlessly. Yeah, and there's this thing which, and you'll see that I'm sometimes addressing absolute beginners, sometimes I'm addressing mid-level devs, sometimes I'm addressing senior or higher level devs. So just try to see like if this if a certain slide doesn't apply to you, just don't just try to, I don't know, ignore it. Um, but yeah, so perfectly working legacy code is always better than the shiny new feature that you would like to do, or a refactor. Um, in the sense that it really depends on what the project's focus, right? If your role is to implement features and fix bugs, um, anything that you think needs to improve, try to make a good case for it, like with screenshots, or with screenshots with links to official documentation, like Unity documentation, or I don't know, or maybe you want to make like a non-code change, like to, I don't know, something that has to do with psychology, like what that button should be like, or whatever. Like, um, at least me, I mean, at least I, in a company, if I would have like employees and they would want to be like proactively come up with the solutions and suggestions, like I would really encourage that. Like I really appreciate that, and I would have a specific process for that in order to filter all of the ideas and have them and talk about them. But generally, companies also, and I mean, companies, clients, and so on and so forth, are open to suggestions and all of that. But you have to kind of keep them on the side. Yeah, and there's this thing like some things are important, but some things are urgent. So, of course, they are just words, and words are just, you know, ways to approximate our thoughts. But what's important, you know what the word important means. But if you put the word urgent uh, near it, so when you put it in the same on the same line, then you kind of see, okay, what's urgent is more important. What is important than what's important, right? So try to make that distinction. This could be better. File it away for when you have free time. Never. Yeah, that's a very common scenario, and it's very common in my own dev life even now, and I don't think I will ever escape this phenomenon. So I think like 10 things are important, but if whenever I prioritize them, I will only always have time for like 4 of them max, because things keep coming and I feel like everything is important, and I can just I feel that I can prove it that they are important. But you know, it's one of those things, like maybe somebody, like imagine like somebody puts a gun to your head and just said, okay, you have 10 things to do, but tell me really quick, what's the only one if you if you would have time only for one of them, which one would be, right? And then you will know which one is the most important, right? That's like a good mental exercise to do. Like maybe it's 4 features instead of one, right? Or fixes or functionalities or yeah, it usually solved by itself because you have deadlines and all that, and you just prioritize them. Like, okay, that's more important than that, and so on. And you just do like this, like bubble sort thing in your head. If you did like sorting algorithms, it's that the most fundamental, the most basic way of sorting stuff. And then you just take two things, and you know which one is more important than the other. And yeah, just by the time the sprint ends, let's say you're doing like 2 weeks sprint where you like have a milestone for 2 weeks and then you ship it and then again 2 weeks and so on and so forth. Um, you will see then, okay, we've implemented 3 features in this cycle and we don't have time for others, or this cycle, maybe next cycle, right? Um, yeah, but when you are not, when you don't have like an imposed structure, and this is especially dangerous for solo devs, indie devs, people who work alone, or maybe with just another a person, or in a very unstructured way. It's pretty easy to implement more things that you need, and just have your project take longer than it should. Company conventions, yes. So when you come to a new company or project or team or whatever, the team itself can have conventions on how to write code, how how to write code basically. But also they can have like soft conventions, or like non-technical conventions, in the sense like, man, you never message, I don't know, during the lunch, or I don't know, something like that. Like, uh, don't uh, don't call on Slack between, I don't know, 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. and stuff like that. I didn't see this this example, this exact example, but it's just um, the category of these examples is real. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So, and it's different for every project, company, team, and so on and so forth. The coding conventions are usually about how you write variable names, how you write functions, and there's also just project specific conventions, in the sense that for Unity, for example, you might have some conventions around how you create the prefabs, maybe everything or most of the components, not components, but most of the, for example, you have a chest that opens, has an animation, it has an instruction that shows your like game manager or whatever what item is there, or maybe the item it's decided at the moment when you open it, and so on and so forth. And that thing has to be a prefab maybe, or it has to be a scene which you load with that async method, if you remember. Or maybe like even the scenes themselves, maybe you have like a convention where you don't have Unity scenes and your scenes are prefabs actually, that you just instantiate in the current scene. So basically you have one scene, even if your game is really big, you have one scene and you just instantiate prefabs there. I don't know. So yeah, if every company can have their own stuff like this. And the thing is also like a theme, the same team can have some conventions for a project and other conventions for another project, because they would like to keep the same style. For example, I mean, in C sharp, you won't be usually using underscore case. I don't know how it's called. Snake case, maybe. Um, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, in C sharp, usually the conventions are those that I've followed in the previous weeks when I had that 6 hours C sharp masterclass and Unity masterclass, 12 hours in total. Those are the ideal conventions in my opinion, and most companies use those. But there are some projects which have I don't know, some of them use this user ID as the field name in classes, let's say, or some of them use an underscore, right? And it might feel like maybe they are doing it wrong, but if that's like, I don't know, a million lines of code are already written there, then it's weird to try to refactor it just to keep it perfect, right? Just don't do that. And it doesn't really make sense. Um yeah, and I don't know, what's something else I wanted to say here. Yeah, basically this role of following the current convention, the coding style that's in the project, just following the existing one. So maybe you will be working on two projects at once at some point. And some of them, the first one uses a convention, the second one another convention. You just have to keep it consistent there. Yeah, yeah. Each company or team has a way of doing things. And the bigger the project, the less room for improvement there is. So yeah, just do what they do, and you'll have an easier life. Um, yeah, it's maybe this doesn't address like most of the people, but I had a problem with this, but I just wanted to fix everything and I don't know, make things better or something like that. But it really depends on what your role is in that project, and mine was kind of, yeah, to improve things, but not everything, just the important things. Um, yeah, usually just at least at the beginning, do what everyone else does, so you can learn the rules, like the way of doing things, and then you can see how the relative importance, right, between like compared to themselves, right? Um, and see like which ones are worthy, are worth breaking at some point. You know, like Bob Ross said. So you learn the rules and then you learn how to break them. Don't try to revolutionize their methods because they won't listen, and it's probably for a good reason. Yeah, so there will be some things which you don't understand. A lot of them actually. A lot of unknowns, and you know that some things are broken or are wrong, and they know it too, or they knew it at the beginning, but they kind of went with it because there was no other way to do that thing. And yeah, I think it's a good thing to ask about it if you have the time, uh, for yourself, but also for them. Maybe just there's a thing that they have overlooked, and they would say like, "Oh man, that's so good that you brought up our attention on this issue." Um, yeah, and but otherwise, I mean, most of the time they likely have a reason for doing it that way. So uh, yeah, maybe they've tried it your way already, and something else broke, and they were frustrated, and they wanted to do it your way. I mean, they wanted to do it the same way that you're suggesting, and it didn't work, and they were frustrated, and they already went through the phase that you are in now, right? Seeing something and you want to fix it, but it's impossible almost to fix it. Um, yeah, yeah. There's this thing again, like kind of the same thing said in other words. You could be right, but being right is not enough. Yeah, it is like more of a bit more general, not necessarily about a thing that they've already a fix or an improvement that they've already tried and didn't work, but more general, like the thing that you are suggesting should increase the team's efficiency, or the products, or the games or the apps. I don't know. Should bring more users, or it should uh, make them feel better, so they can play the game more, or I don't know, buy stuff more in the game or something like that, or invite more friends and so on and so forth. Um, yeah, that's like we're talking about quantifiable things, like maybe the suggestions that you're telling them about will increase delivers per month, or team's happiness, or stuff like that, right? So it should not be just because it looks better, or it's it follows a code pattern better. Um, but again, if that's your job, if your job is refactoring, and I'm speaking to uh, mid or senior level devs here, then I mean it's obvious. Uh, I'm not talking about that, right? Yeah, and I mean I feel like I'm getting annoying because I maybe I'm repeating some things, or at least maybe it feels like I'm repeating the same thing again and again. Keep a balance between conformity and suggestions. So yeah, usually each project has a time for suggestions, and if you're doing Scrum, you're doing it once, usually 2 weeks, and you have a session, a call with everyone that works on the project, or at least on your part of the project, when everyone sells shows how, or tells how they feel, and what suggestions they had, and it's just basically like a medical check, right? Like doing your labs or something like that. That's the perfect time for bringing stuff up, and even, you know, team stuff, like, man, that guy, uh I said that I'd do that task, and he took it from me because it was easier. I've only did one task, which was hard, and he completed 6 tasks, which are easier, and it looks like he works more. Or I mean, it's not. This is a very specific thing. It didn't actually never. It didn't ever happen to me. But I don't know. Just a negative example, or yeah, positive feedback and all of that. Like, you'll see it. Like, it's quite obvious when you'll see it. When you have that type of feedback, recurring meeting. Yeah, that's your time to shine, where you really want to change something. Again, so to recap, each company has their own unique process for this iteration: design, build, test, and launch, or ship. I like to put the word ship here, and it's usually bad, but it works. Yeah, but it works. Hi, where am I? Yeah, to have you here. Let's see. I don't think Ubisoft use Unity. I don't know any of their games was made by Unity. It seems that Unity gonna stay as an indie engine. I mean, yeah, Unity it is mostly an indie engine, and I like it this way. It is perfect, and I'm really happy it is this way. I know some companies use it primarily, like Mohoyo and Hearthstone. That's cool, man. Also, um, Pokemon Go was made in it. And I don't know, I think I saw it on YouTube how they did it. And if I remember correctly, they were using dependency injection framework, which slowed them down. And that dependency injection framework is basically that Zenject, which rebranded to Xtenject. Uh, they've improved since then. Maybe they're working faster now. And I think that's why it worked slow. But you see, the idea and how fun a game is and how viral a game can get, it's more important than just running at 60 FPS or doing it the right way. Like following all of the code conventions and all those. Like those are guidelines, and if you take it statistically, more than 50% of the time you should prioritize having working code than having perfect code, because you're giving up time when you're making your code perfect, like look perfect. Yeah, I don't know about Ubisoft. Like last time I had there, I just went to an internship in 2013, my first internship, when I was like incredibly lucky. Like it's I was just incredibly lucky. Um, they were using their own game engine. It's called Dunia, and I have a feeling like a lot of companies use Unity, either internally or for smaller projects. Or I mean, if you have a good management, like you're not set on a specific game engine. You're just open. Like, okay, are we creating like a Maze Runner game? Let's use Unity. We are creating a tower defense game. Let's use Unity. Are we creating like Assassin's Creed? I don't know, Antarctica dinosaurs version. Let's use our own engine, right? Yeah, Unity. I don't know about market share, but mobile is really big with Unity. Maybe Unity is even the primary engine for Unity, except battle royale games, PUBG. Yeah, I think they are made in Unreal, PUBG, if I remember correctly. But if you're a good programmer, you can make PUBG in Unity as well, if you're following those conventions. Because now, if you're talking about games that are PUBG level, um, you will have to follow more of those rules from the C# masterclass I held in the previous weeks, and the Unity C# meets Unity session. Because a game like PUBG probably has a lifespan of 10 years at least. Let's say maybe at least 8 years. So you have to plan ahead, right? Um, yeah. When I was at that internship, I worked on it was a rail shooter, a VR rail shooter, and it was a game. It was a project that was created by us in those 3 months. Yeah. I mean, it was created in 3.5 weeks, and that was its name, even. And I worked with the development kit 2, Oculus, or 1, I don't remember. And it was really amazing because it was the first time I did that. And yeah, it was like, I felt like I'm doing cutting edge fusion, nuclear fusion stuff. And it was really fun. So it was a rail shooter. And when we had a game designer which just watched YouTube every day. That was his job. That kind of it's pretty amazing job to have. Um, so he was the ideas guy. Then we have had a gameplay programmer, which like who took our stuff and created the level and integrated our scripts and configurations and everything, and yeah, the waves and everything. Then we had a 3D artist, 2D, 3D artist. Basically, you went to him and asked him for, man, we need the pivot of this turret model to go to be a bit lower, so when it turns in a certain way, and the guy did his magic, and bam, we had it. And then there were 4 programmers. We were the programmers, and I was doing the UI and all of that, where you have your health was on the Corsair. It was green and so on, right? Yeah, and that was what I worked on, and also like so with the tower defense, then this rail shooter, and a few other projects. But um, yeah, like usually you'd work on the game engine. I mean, in the real game, like there was the Watch Dogs game there that was being worked on, and I didn't really work there in that one. Um, Honestly, like I don't know, I felt kind of stupid at that moment, because they put me into they gave me a slide deck with like, okay, this is how we do stuff, read it. And I think it was pretty well written, but I don't know, I just felt like overwhelming, and I felt stupid. And yeah, I don't know. And when I arrived there, it's like kind of, I had this feeling that people are wondering like, why I'm there, why am I there? uh yeah, I don't know. And I just said, man, I just don't understand this. I don't understand this. And yeah, I had 2 or 3 different mentors, and yeah, some of them just maybe didn't like me or didn't know what to do with me, and some of them kind of knew what to show me. And yeah, eventually I just got into a place where I adapted. But on the non-technical side, it was really fun. We were playing games and all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it. Maybe it's too boring for you guys. What do you think the difficulty to make a game like PUBG could be? It needs player controller, server, authoritative server, graphics, a level of details, optimized textures, game logic, which not that difficult, gun system. Well, I don't know. You have to Google how many people worked on PUBG, and there's your answer. That I'm really curious about that as well. PUBG dev team size. Development began in early 2016 and was publicly announced in June. 35 developers. So in just a years, it grew to 70. Okay, those are just developers, not including 3D art and all that, and testers, right? How big are PUBG Mobile? No, 6 years ago, 100. Yeah, so when you're asking how hard it is to make a game, just see how many people work at it. And but there's also like the Doom guy, John Carmack, I think is his name. Doom, Quake, I think he worked on Doom. I think so. He made the Quake engine and everything. He's like a genius. He wrote lots of stuff himself. I think even the 3D models and stuff, at least at the beginning. Um, so yeah, you can be a single guy and do that, but you know, it's pretty hardcore. And I know he drinks a lot of Coke, so on. I'm not really in the same. Like I don't agree with that, right? I don't advise you to do that. Um, I mean, I think it's Diet Coke, but anyway. Yeah. To answer your question, I don't know. Maybe for a guy with sorry, I just screamed. For maybe for a guy with 10 years of experience, maybe it'll take like 5 years to create PUBG if you're really good. But on average, you'd need probably 10 people, and just maybe you have an acceptable prototype on Steam. Let's say you do it for desktop in a year, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go back here. So company conventions and there's iteration cycle. It's usually bad, but it works. And I'm exaggerating. It's not usually bad, but it's bad sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes people might break the cycle, the iteration cycle. Developer build on its way to production, and the tester tries to test it. And the developer knows that the tester will find something, so they just want to ship it and feel good. Yeah, be result oriented. This like feels maybe too motivational. Maybe I'm boring you, but hang on there. What it feels like to achieve goals. Yeah. So smaller tasks feel better, but not all tasks are smaller. Not all tasks are smaller. But remember, yesterday I think I talked about dividing your work in smaller pieces so that you can have in any given week you should be achieving at least 2 or 3 things. I mean, the worst case scenario, one thing. So when the weekend comes, let's assume you're working during the week and maybe Saturdays, and uh, when Sunday comes, you're relaxed and you just know that okay, you've did your job, you've achieved something at least, right? So it's not always possible. Yeah, but try that, because I'm speaking to you from experience. It's really stressful to work on something for 2 weeks and not have like a tangible, even you're progressing and you know that you're progressing and you feel good about yourself, that you're, I don't know, you feel on top of the world, but you don't have like the functionality that's working. You only progressed in writing the code and maybe designing the system and so on. um I mean, yeah, designing the system fits under a completed tasks because it's visually see it. But just writing the code and not having the feature ready, uh, it's quite stressful. And I had like 3 weeks, let's say, where I worked on something continuously and I didn't have like any task that I could uh, refer to as completed. So what I should have done, I should have split it into. Sometimes you cannot split it into like the first part and the second part and the third part. And that's usually the case. But what you should do instead, you should convert it to, let's say, 3 milestones of different resolution of details. In put it simply, like create a very simple version, but an end-to-end version of your feature, and then go more like HD, metaphorically speaking, in it. Like go more into the details and detail stuff around, like, and then on the third, so that's like the second milestone, and the third milestone, like that would be like your final. It's like LODs in games, like level of details. You know, like maybe you probably know this already if you played games. Objects that are far away are actually have a very bulky version of them. That's the bulky version of them that's showing, and the closer you get to them, the more detailed they get. That's to not overwhelm the game engine. And think of your features in the same way, like you're creating a very bulky version of the feature, and then the closer you go, the closer you come to the to that feature, or to, let's say, that tree or something, the more detail it gets. And not only this is not only about splitting your task into multiple weeks and having a task completed each week, but it's also a general rule which will make you much relaxed and happier overall. Because what you will find is that when you have your end-to-end feature completed, even though it's not detailed and final, in at least 30% of cases, you'll find a lot of things that are not needed anymore. So you won't be even making those anymore. I don't know, maybe it's good to draw, because this is pretty important. And it's not about, like, it's a general concept. And I don't know, should I make it this way, or it's already okay? So you have your feature, and I don't know, it can be like a main menu, but a main menu can have, I mean, I can draw it like, no, this is not what I wanted. So here is how it looks, and here is how basically you have, this is your like feature, right? And it has maybe 3 legs, like 3 things about it, and it's about the main menu, right? And the main menu has a start button, right? Start button and an exit button, and that's how it looks. Then on, let's say, like third week, you have achieved this, hopefully, but then this thing has this thing, and this thing has a circle, and this thing connects to this thing, something like this, right? And then you, let's see if I can do this. Can I do this? Okay. Then you have this thing, start an X, and maybe your start button now has an animation. Yeah, and the X button, I don't know, has a sound when you click it. Maybe that's the other feature, right? And what else? Like maybe your feature had like, let's say, like you have 4. Let's say you have like 4 legs here, and the fourth leg was like, I don't know, some button for options here. And you have it here as well. You don't really know about it that much, like you don't know stuff about it. It's like there, you don't know what it does, but you're client or your users or your testers or your manager or team lead just said we need that, right? And it's just here, and you just keep it there. Then in your third week, so this is like a conceptual mind mapping representation of the task. Just make an effort to where can I do this? Okay. Yeah. And let me take this again. Oops, not. What did just happen? Okay, no, what happened? No. Okay. And on the third week, somebody says, "Oh, we actually don't need this thing." Right? So you've created it since the first week, and you just kept it there because people weren't really sure about it, whether you need it or not. And in this week, your like manager or whatever says, we don't need this thing anymore. It's kind of like options will only be available like in game or something. I don't know, like when you're inside the level or whatever, or there are no options here. And yeah, let's say like you need now like this, or this thing has something here, and like this is just an abstract, like a symbolic representation of the features. So instead of words, we are using imagine like this is an alien language for features, because I wanted it to be more visual, right? More universal. So it's like this is like your conceptual, or imagine it's like the features described in a visual language without actually drawing the features. Imagine this is like a visual language. So you see it's like simpler here, then more defined here, and even more defined here. Like, I don't know, in this thing it's like this, right? And this represents like you now have a background with stars that are scrolling, right? In the back, and they are scrolling maybe this direction. And your button, I don't know, has an animation, maybe like a sun or something on it. And this X button maybe only shows up when you move your mouse over it, right? So this is your mouse, and when you move the mouse over it, it shows. And I don't know what else. Like you also have like a background music for the whole thing, right? So it's more detailed. But imagine that if you wanted this in this like in the first week, to let's say I want to create the X and an option stuff, and you just kept detailing it, and this moment somebody will tell you like, oh, we don't need the option button anymore, right? So you have just spent time detailing a thing that you won't be needing, right? And this concept is very important. I don't know. Of course, there's always someone who already knows this or stuff, and would say this is obvious for me, but most of the people are not doing this, in my experience at least. And I also didn't do this and still have a tendency to not do this. I have the tendency to create a feature and make it really detailed, and then go to the next feature and make it really detailed, and so on and so forth. But two issues: this issue where a thing might not be needed in the end, but also you don't have a complete experience of your game, which is very important if you're a freelancer. You want to give your. This is actually how I got my first gig on Upwork. When I have applied, I've already implemented the thing because like I wanted to build like a profile and have reviews and all that. I didn't end up like being really active there, but that's how I get it. So I send my first client what they asked for, but in a very basic and ugly way. Not way, but a very ugly version of it. And they were sold immediately. Like they said, this is what we need, let's work. And this works with like clients if you're a freelancer. This works with your users or your players or people who follow you on social media because they're very interested in what you're doing. Um, just have like a complete experience and have like cubes and spheres and everything, so it can be playable, so you can ship faster, right? You cannot ship a game where you have a very beautiful start button and nothing else, right? Or a feature, or and this is really important. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. So it's really important. I don't know, just maybe make a shortcut, a screenshot. I meant to say, um, on this thing. Yeah, just make a screenshot. I don't know. Maybe I should put this somewhere. Uh, no, let's put some text. Week 1. That's not what I want. How will I move this thing? No, I'm trying. Okay. Week 3. It's okay. So week 1, week 2, week 3. So you will be looking at the recording and you will know what to do. Let's say, oh no, I just want to just do this. just the shortcut. I'll put it here. Yeah, I will be adding it in the repo. Good. Let's in some cases you'll sacrifice best practices for efficiency, but it's your job to let people know. Yeah, so again, the same thing as I said, I will be like this whole session is uh, about trade-offs. So when you want to ship or need to ship fast, you know that you will sacrifice some best practices that we talked about in the previous weeks, and it's kind of your job to tell people like, hey, I know we should do it that way, and I know that your guys did this other way and I'll do it that way, or maybe we don't have time to create it to do it in the recommended way. We have to do it this way, and then you're just passing the responsibility around, like, hey, I let my tech lead, the team lead, or supervisor know that I'm doing it in the less ideal way because we don't have time. Yeah, yeah, including my past self needs to hear this. Like, don't be perfect. Do it just good enough so it can be shipped, and yeah, make people aware of that, and they will tell you, no man, we need to do it the right way, right? Just there are some things that we have to do the right way, no matter the deadline, and some of the things needs to be done can be done the wrong way temporarily, which usually means forever. uh, I mean, kind of a tangent here. Like, there's this thing. Like, I have a rule for myself. Like, I'm the highest quality part of my clothing is actually the shoes, but the rest of them I don't even care, and I would just take everything secondhand in the, if I would have the chance. But the shoes should be high quality. Okay. And I'm not a like shoes guy or anything like that, but I just, because I know that shoes are very easy to break, very easy to just you know uh, get holes and all of that. Yeah, and there's another thing that you will be working on a lot of things that will get thrown away, so you have to be aware of that and maybe not embrace, but don't have a mental breakdown. Uh, and there's also this thing like the more you babysit someone, the softer they get. So all of us need to just will get hit about something in areas most areas in our lives. So you'll see, maybe you haven't ever experienced this, but you work on something a week and then they decide like we don't need that, and it will happen 2 or 3 times and then you'll get used to it. So just don't be very annoying for others. Don't be like a pain for others. It just happens. It's You're getting paid, so that's, I mean, at least you're getting paid, hopefully. If you're a solo developer, indie, probably you're not getting paid. But yeah. Um, yeah, manager managers care about results and not how elegant your solution is. Yeah, and estimations are like a big subject. So, but usually most people are not good at estimating things. Not even after 10 years of experience. Uh, just whatever you estimate, double it, just to be sure. I think I came to this level where I can just add a 30% or 40%, um, markup on all of my estimations. So like 30%, if I think it takes 10 days, then I tell my whoever it is, supervisor or client or whatever, like, hey, it will take 14 days. But usually you have to double it. Yes, so you're not here to win a code beauty contest. You're here to make games. Yeah, school versus reality. So if you've been a developer, if you're not like an absolute beginner, you vibe with this one. Wow, a different error message. Finally, some progress. Yeah, if you're a perfectionist, you'll only be like 70% satisfied with the quality of your work, because not all projects have to be perfect in order to make money. And managers know this, so they push you to deliver quicker rather than perfect. But it's your job to show them the trade-off, since often only you are aware of them. Yeah, there's also this thing like, maybe you're the only technical guy in the team and they tell you like, we really have to ship, but you like, you're the only person capable to understand the trade-offs, and you're having a hard job in conveying. Maybe they are not technical in convey, so you have a hard job in conveying the trade-off. You have to draw stuff, you have to make them understand in their own language, and yeah, it's quite tricky, especially if you're really bad at communication. um Most of the time you have like a team lead which like with whom you communicate, and they pass the trade-off communication uh forward. Yeah, I see no other option but to test in production. So there's this thing like, so when you're implementing a bug fix, hopefully you're not implementing bugs, although you'll be doing it unknowingly all the time. Where some things you have to test them in production. It can almost always be prevented, but people will do them anyway. See the CrowdStrike thing from a week ago. Although we can get into like why that happened. I mean, there was an issue like that affected I don't know how many, but many companies around the world with let's say it like a native plugin for Windows. It's not Windows' fault, what I from what I've learned, but yeah. So somebody basically tested in production, but it's I don't know. I just think it wasn't like a mistake. I think it was something else there because it's so stupid. You don't do that. I mean, but anyway, sometimes you will have to test in production, and yeah, it's probably a sleepless night, or it depends. If you're a junior, you're kind of your novelty or your unknowingness, or you're kind of protected by the fact that you don't know anything about the project. So you like have a shield, like I don't know anything, so I don't need to have a sleepless night or something like this during that testing in production. And by the way, I mean, if it's not obvious, testing in production means like live, or production means the code that's running on your end users, like the code that's now on people's phone, right? So not in your dev team or in the in at work there, where in your colleagues' phones, or right. Um, yeah, and there's no other way sometimes. So you have to embrace it and just yeah. I guess I'm just repeating what I said here. You will do maybe overtime. Yeah, so in big projects, things go really fast. So it's more important to do things fast than to have downtime, because it might mean like hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses if like the game doesn't work for a day. Um, yeah, so that's why like doing things the right way, it's also very often, more often than not, actually, it's not something like that companies do. Like they try to do the minimum possible to just have that feature, so that the user, from the user's perspective, the thing just works. Yeah, yeah. So this weeks of coding save hours of designing. Yeah. So the serious version of this is you should design first and code later. There's even like a detailed version of this, or I can detail it like coding is like translating a language. Most of the time you're not like thinking about it too much. You're thinking, yeah, okay, maybe you need to do some cross-cultural things where some cultural things from the first language don't apply to the second, and you have to convert it. But and it's not an easy job. But most of the time you're like um, automatically or mechanically converting from the idea to the implementation. So most of the work is done thinking about stuff, hopefully at least. Um, and I'm surprised that not even I am I doing this at times. Like I feel so smart sometimes, and I go and write it, and then it's just garbage code, and I then write it again, and then I just go on with just maybe even pen and paper, or maybe just in a Paint app, just draw 2 or 3 lines, and then I get it, and then I just write the same thing in 10 minutes, and it works. So yeah, just even if you're creating a very simple, I don't know, button animation, like if you can't visualize it completely in your head, just draw it somewhere, right? So just draw it, or now we can even think like about a multiplayer system. If you're maybe like a mid-level or whatever, and you're designing a multiplayer system with everything, just do it visually. Like for, I mean, turn-based is not that hard actually, but when you go and draw it, like when I created a turn-based game, which had a lot of events, and it was a multiplayer and online, I spent quite a lot of time, and even after I spent like a week on it, I still, after a months, I had to come back and rewrite it and so on. So yeah, just design first, and then when you're coding it, you're just converting it to code. You don't think that much when you're writing the code, right? You will think there are some things that might not translate one to one, right? But it's a very important thing. Working with clients directly. I like this one. New potential, new potential customer. Open the gate. They want some new features. Close the gate. They are going to pay a lot of money. Open the gate a little. I don't know. I find this very funny. Um, whether you're a freelancer or are doing outsourcing, and are like as part of a company that's doing outsourcing, and are appointed to check up with your clients. And yeah, by the way, that's really good for your profile, resume profile, and just good for you, like professionally and personally. If you're not like, if you don't really like social interaction that much, um, that's part genetically, part just nurture. I think like you need to balance it. Yeah, you need to balance it. So you should talk to people. um yeah, you'd likely have a hard time at first, especially if you have zero soft skills. um yeah, people don't some people don't really like to do this, but I, for example, should have done it much often and asked for it much often, because I would have gotten a lot of skills that would have given me a lot of money along the way, because I could have negotiated better, and just I would have known what clients want, or usually you'll see patterns earlier, right? So no matter the moment you start, it's then when you see patterns in how people that are using what you're building, what patterns they have. Like they usually have the same patterns. Who we are? Clients. What do we want? We don't know. When do we want it? Now. Yeah, and you know what's nice? You can build your soft skills. Yeah, you can build your soft skills. So I think like my subjective evaluation of myself, like I was a 4 of out of 10, and now I'm like an 8 out of 10. And you can too. So basically 4 out of 10 is I don't know, like 5 is the minimum passing grade, and 4 was not a passing grade. So you can too. You basically have to do it a lot. So yeah, practice really makes perfect. And in a company, try to take the more uncomfortable positions, like the roles that challenge your soft skills. Like you'll be amazed how fast you evolve. And yeah, I did like try to not be a pain for the team, or breaking production stuff. Um, like try to be the guy who organizes maybe going out once every 2 weeks, or organizes like I don't know, maybe on Friday, organize a talk or a meet where for an hour you like maybe research things about the project or whatever would be useful for the team, and you discuss it and do stuff like that. Like that's one of those things that are not technical, but you can then talk about that in your resume or in your like if you want to get really utilitarian, like pragmatic about why you should do it. But it's also like it helps you personally with soft skills, and it might even help you in the company, like if you want to stay there for 2 or 3 years, or yeah, of course it will help you because you can also like that's uh proving that you're somewhat valuable or something like that, right? Although I encourage people to just try to not stay too much in a company, especially at the beginning. If I would want to choose a number, I'd say like don't stay more than 6 months in your first company, then 6 months in another one, and so on. Maybe switch 3 companies, something like that. Then maybe you can stay maybe 1 year at another company if you really like it. But just I hope you want to make more money, so that's why I'm telling you this. Um, yeah, and this advice is everywhere, so it's not. I don't think this is the first time you're hearing about it. Yeah, so we'll talk about this tomorrow a bit more. But it's usually the soft skills that make the difference between an 80 versus a 100. Yeah, versus 120 coins salary. Yeah. So might seem a bit unfair, but that's how it works. And yeah, I emotionally feel like I felt at least some anger towards this realization, and some people just try to ignore it. But yeah, I try to live with it. Um, yeah, again, build your soft skills. Talk to a lot of key people in the company or project that you're working on. And yeah, your gaming friends on Discord don't count. Let's see, man. Where am I? You ask some things here. Yeah, John Carmack is a genius, and he released his engine to open source when he makes a new one. Source engine was made from his engine. That's cool. I didn't know about that. So source engine was made from John Carmack's engine. I think I knew something that source engine is made out from Quake engine. I think that I heard that. What skills you lacked at the time when you were at Ubisoft that you felt imposter syndrome? Well, college, university, however you call it in your country, doesn't really teach you how to work in a company or how to work in an existing project or stuff like that. And that's what I want to change with the rockstart.ai platform. I want to create a platform that um, prepares you for the real life. And there are a lot of people that are already doing this with their own platforms. And I think they are doing really great. So I think that many things that are paid, like I mean, even Andrew Tate stuff, which people don't agree with him, but I mean, I think when I watched all of his or all of it, just a few of this of his videos, like there's a lot of value there if you can ignore all of the stuff that maybe offend you or whatever. Just try to be objective about it. Um, and even that guy Ty Lopez and other guys, like I don't know. Maybe I'm too naive. I don't know. But when I hear about them, they're telling some stuff, and that stuff improves my life. So I don't care what they are selling or whether they are just renting a place and telling us that it's their place, or renting the cars and telling us that their car. I just, if their stuff helps me, then it's. And I think all of these programs, like most of the time, you'll get some value out of them, because there's often a thing that maybe you already know what you have to do, but you need kind of someone to push you towards it, and that's, I think, what most of these guys are doing. So I think that thing works as well. But I don't know, because I'm too afraid to compete with them, I just want to do it all for free. So it's kind of, I'm not competing with them. So, but like my vision is much bigger. Like I want to just have I've created the Neo Education Manifesto. So neoeducation.org, can read it. And I hope that's how education will be made globally. And hopefully it will be free, and the platform will be free for students. So yeah, it will be high quality courses. There won't be many courses. There will be maybe 2 or 3 courses on gaming, let's say, at max, and then 2 or 3 courses on, I don't know, cooking pasta, or 2 or 3 courses on changing your oil, on your car's oil, or how to, I don't know, whatever, do marketing, or. And yeah, I don't know how did I arrive to this thing, but I went. What skills did I lack? So yeah, that was the trigger for this thing. University doesn't teach you stuff for the real world. It teaches you useful stuff, but not for the real world. Um, I lacked everything, like how to behave in a team, like how to. I never was told, if I remember correctly, about Git or version control. I mean, that's uh, it's yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It's such a simple concept at the beginning, version control. If you're keeping it simple, it's really simple. But I wasn't told about it, if I remember. Um, yeah, I knew how to program. I knew uh, yeah, classes, C++ stuff, and so on. What was the most stressful project you worked on? What was the biggest failure of a project you worked on, and why? What was the most successful project, and what, in your opinion, made you succeed? The most stressful project was a Python crypto trading bot on which I worked for 5 months every day for 12 to 14 hours, because I was really excited about it. And I just realized how hard it is. But it's live currently, and it's testing, and I can only test it live, so I have to wait like a year to test it in production. I put $100 there, and I'm waiting, and it fluctuates. Yeah, and a friend trusted me, and he put $100 as well in their own instance, and we're waiting to see. But it's I'm not betting anything on it. But it was very stressful, because it's one of those really extreme things that I talked about earlier, where you work on something for a lot, and you don't have incremental milestones. And like I might have like a month where I'm working and I get nothing done. Like not I'm getting done stuff, I'm progressing, but I'm not seeing the feature. I cannot, like, I don't have the palpable feature, right? And um after, let's say, 1 month and 1 week, then yeah, I had that feature. But to stay 5 weeks without having a sense of completion for a particular feature or module or whatever, it's really painful. I mean, I don't know. At least that's how it was for me. And if you look at my GitHub account, you'll see there was a single Sunday in 2022 where I, in the first part of the year, where I took a break. I don't know. Maybe I catched a cold or something. I don't know. Yeah. Um, what was the biggest failure of a project you worked on? I don't know. I don't think I had like any big failures. If you can call like projects that are post failures. Um, the biggest failure was a project that I think remember is one where I tried to create a framework for Unity which contained like code that I thought I would use in multiple projects, but I only used in one project. And I even created the WPF Windows app for it to manage the code and everything, like a framework manager. And that was a waste of time because most of the things you don't reuse. And yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I could have created 10 mini games and maybe one took off and would have taken off, and maybe I would have gotten rich or something. Um, yeah, try to not create frameworks if you uh, yeah, if you're not completely like 100% sure you'll be reusing them. But most successful project is the optimized scroll view adapter. It's a plugin for Unity, and it's the most, maybe not exactly the most popular one, but I'd say like if you multiply popularity by usefulness, uh, yeah, and flexibility and everything, like overall quality, that one would be it. It's an optimized scroll view adapter. If you're into dev, maybe you know already about it. I even was pleased to see it. Um in a project where I came to a company, a big company, and I saw my plugin there. It was pretty nice, pretty good. Felt good. And I randomly saw a guy on LinkedIn that had 70 likes, and 1 year ago they mentioned that my plugin. Pretty nice, man. I started in 2016. So yeah, it's a plugin. It's not a game. Upwork is slave wages. You're not really wrong, but there are clients that pay well on Upwork as well. I haven't met them, but I know they are there. So yeah, if you're at the beginning, you can try them. You can just uh, try to have a good portfolio and keep it simple. And like I said, try to send them something. Maybe if you're at the beginning and you don't have reviews, try to send them something that they see, that they just see like, man, this thing is what I need. Like this guy just already created what I want, like in an hour or something. You just give an hour of your time, because you would give many hours of your time anyway to write proposals and so on. Just focus on one guy and just do that thing for them. That's actually a very important secret, or I don't know, yeah, if you can call it secret, but try to use this. Create something for them, like show them, is this what you want, is this what you want? So just ask them that, right? And they will feel like compelled to answer. um what do you mean by shoes in the what do you mean by shoes in the project? I meant that I don't remember the context, but I said that uh I'm trying to buy a good quality shoes, but I don't really care about the other clothes. I can even buy them secondhand, so I'm not. Except the you know probably what I want to say. The stuff that are too close. Doesn't matter. Maybe you've got it. So yeah, like I don't care about the clothes, but I care a lot about shoes. So, but I don't remember the context. I don't remember the context for that. Have you worked on CPP, C++? Like I was like a very big fan of C++. We've done it in the university, and I wanted to work on it really hard, and I wanted to work in Unreal for that same reason. But at my first internship, we've used Unity with C Sharp, and I just stuck with it. I just liked it. Um, yeah, I preferred C++. I didn't want to do it the easy way, but man, I don't regret it. It's really, it's just easier to write C Sharp code, and you do the same things, and just it's best. It's the best. Yeah, maybe I'll talk tomorrow about my experience at Ubisoft. There's not too much to talk about, but I'll try. So, Mahimuddin, you were asking how do you do your networking in game industry? Just check my previous. It was the yesterday's or I don't know session. Um, just you can really look at the title, and I will. And if you guys, if you know a bot or some a bot, yeah, which I can tag, that I can tag on the in the comments, and they can create chapters automatically for me because I know that that's possible. Just let me know. I'll have to just Google them. Um, good. Yeah, but generally communities, online communities, Facebook, a lot of them, at least 7 groups with over 50 or over 40k people. But let me tell you in order of my preference, like Reddit, we have like 7 subreddits. Um, Discord, we have maybe 5 Discord servers. Um, LinkedIn, Facebook, and there was another one I don't remember. There's also like Telegram. Yeah, just I forgot to mention Telegram yesterday. Just find the communities there. As for in real life networking, like if you're living in an area where people gather for gaming stuff, that's like very good thing that you can do. Like it helps you a lot personally and professionally. Just don't be shy because people are like you there. It's your people. It's yeah, people like you. you know, they are scared of you and you're scared of them. Just don't uh you know just go and meet them in your life and talk about stuff. Um, and if there aren't, just try to create an event on Facebook or maybe in the meetup.com, right? You can create it and or if you're in um, San Francisco, there's like Luma site, lu.ma. That's the site. Then SFIRL, and those are the sites for events there. But yeah, you can try Facebook and try Meetup, and you never know when people show. So I don't know. You can send that a link and just put it out there. Let's see. Working with clients. I didn't study computer science to work with people now. Yeah, this is the feeling maybe some of you have, maybe. Yeah, and for those highly introverted who feel big pain when interacting with others, for example, you prefer physical pain to talking to clients or stakeholders in your company or project. I kind of understand. So yeah, at least maybe watch others talking. You know, get observe the process, the interaction on like maybe a logical level rather than socially. If you just maybe you can't do it, I don't know. Just understand, okay, why they did certain things and what can I learn out of that, and why are they talking like this, or why what are they talking about, or why it takes this long, or just try to extract information and then maybe you can use it, because I kind of do that thing at sometimes and it helps, right? Just try to see why some things uh are the way they are, like why people are interacting in a certain way. Just be observant. And yeah, there's this thing, like the pain of client interaction is much smaller than the long-term career benefits you'd get from just interacting with clients and with people more. Yeah, and we are right on time. Like it's 2 minutes and I have to go. So it's perfect. Like this would have been like 1 hour of co-working if it would have, like if it was an in-person course. And if I didn't need to go, I would have stayed here and maybe tried to publish the or to upload the build for the on the App Store. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. So basically continuing the this Monday's work, where I've uploaded on most platforms, but not on the Apple platform. Um, yeah, so there you have it. Catch you on the flippity flip. There you have it. Thanks guys for attending, and I hope this helped you, and I'm sure this will help many other people. So please send it around. So yeah, send it to your colleagues, to your friends, to your cousin who's just getting started, is graduating from computer science, or just has just learned, took a course for 6 months in, I don't know, like maybe web development course or game development course, and they are just getting started, and I'm pretty sure this thing will help them. All right. Have a nice evening or day, guys. When shall our game be ready? Um, Hopefully on Friday, if you are working on it. Um, but we'll see. Maybe next week. Maybe next week, because it will be more asynchronous. Like because we have the course ends, and then there's a leeway where we can see, and theoretically the skills test will be on Friday, and also the project evaluation, but there will be time. Yeah. All right. See you later, guys.